Michael, what is your relationship with BioShock? Since you're newer to IGN, every week I seem to vibe with you more and more because you and I seem to be on the same page with a lot of stuff. But what's your history with BioShock, and what do you make of all this with the new game?
Man, my history of BioShock actually goes back to System Shock.
Hell yeah!
Because
I knew I
yeah,
liked
like
you.
you know what I'm saying? Listen, I got the playbook down, boy. No, I System Shock, and I've talked about the original Deus Ex like to the ends. I've talked about that game so much. But System Shock 2 is all just as formative for me, especially with how creepy it is and the way you build your character through that. And the lingering presence of Shodan was just like that was peak horror to me. It wasn't exactly a horror game, but to me
It was.
I found that more horrifying than any Resident Evil that I played. So when BioShock was coming around in 2007, this was a really big deal to me. And 2007 is an iconic year. We've talked about that at length too, and like being on the 360 in 2007, it was a crazy time. And even like BioShock was one of the ones that year that was like, how do I even think about what the best game of 2007 is when I have something like this alongside Mass Effect and all that? And look, going back to BioShock now, it's one of those things where games have evolved since 2007, of course, and storytelling has evolved so much. So when you go back and play BioShock, you're like, oh yeah, okay, this dystopian idea, and like, oh, Andrew Ryan, it's the twists are like become in a way a little bit shallow, but someone had to do it first, right? Someone had to do something like this first, and for that purpose, BioShock was kind of a pioneer in that regard, and they built on it. Like, I really like what they did with Minerva's Den in BioShock 2. BioShock Infinite, I liked initially until I started like really digging into the text of that game. I'm like, actually, this game is kind of wild. And I've since turned a corner, or I turned around on BioShock Infinite, but I really like what they did with Burial at Sea. All that is to say that BioShock is like, I've been there since day one, since day zero, really. And this is my style of game, and the way they kind of made the immersive sim / RPG, first person RPG, a little bit more palatable in that sense was pretty cool, especially for consoles at the time. So it's really sad to see that, BioShock 4 hasn't been able to find its feet. It's been 12 years since Infinite, man. Like, I know the game hasn't been in development for 12 years, but it's a little disappointing to hear that they haven't really figured something out with the franchise. Granted, Ken Levine is off doing his own thing since then, but yeah, I still think there's a lot of juice left in that series, in that franchise, I guess. And I'm of two minds where, like, we live in a dystopia now, so how can you tell a dystopian story? But also that I feel like that gives you a lot of like text to work with, to like push boundaries, to explore other ideas in ways that the original BioShock did for its time. I know I said, like, you look back at Shallow now, but back then, you looked at him like, oh yeah, they're playing with the ideas of Ayn Rand or whatever, and like kind of flipping them on its head. But for the time, that was interesting. It was different. And so maybe that's the thing they're getting hung up on, is like this idea that BioShock has to be, has to push the boundaries in some sort of way. But maybe they're struggling to figure that out. And what do the executives really think of the game when they said that they reviewed it and had to shoot it down? Like, again, like Miranda said, like, that is a part that I'm curious about as well. So I don't know. It's disappointing to hear. And yeah, we're not going to see this for a very long time, if it ever comes out.
There's a couple things that I want to respond to there. One, yeah, the executive piece that you both mentioned. I think 2K, I definitely give 2K leadership credit for, historically, they've never rushed a game out. Like, there's a lot of examples over the years where they will typically give their development teams time to get things done. I mean, other than the sports games coming out annually, with their everything else they've done, they've never really shoved anything out the door. I mean, even look at Michael Connery's team's new multiplayer game that Stella had taken a look at like a year ago. Like, that's been cooking for 5, 6, 7 years at this point, and that's still, I guess, they're back under the hood, still working on that. There's they published Duke Nukem Forever. They picked up Duke Nukem Forever and allowed time to be put into it to finish it. So anyway, there's lots of examples, and I appreciate that about 2K executives. They haven't just said, "Hey, you know what? We need this out this quarter. Just put it out." But kind of building on what each of you said, I think it is fair to question the, shall we say, the creative radar or creative judgment, I guess, of 2K executives. Like, if they, like you said, if they think the narrative isn't great, like, well, they're not game designers. They're also not game players. They're suits. And it's like, so I don't know. I mean, ultimately the decision is theirs, right? And they're looking at it from is this going to sell as much or more than is this going to be good lens. But so that's one part that jumps out to me. The other thing, Michael, I wanted to come back to you on you said just a minute ago that you think there's still a lot of juice in the BioShock IP.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't outright disagree with you, but I'm not sure if I agree, because
I sit at your table, Ryan.
It has been let's take a look at this. My professional guesstimate, having done this for over 20 years and hearing where this BioShock project is, I would be very surprised if this game comes out this decade.
Sure,
straight up.
I'd bet on it too.
If it drops in the 2020s, I'll be a little surprised. It sounds like there's still a pretty long road ahead on this. So let's say this is a 2030 video game, which sounds that sounds like the Jetsons era compared to now. But if it's 2030, okay, I'll even give it the benefit of the doubt. Let's say 2028, okay? Because 2028 would be 15 years since BioShock Infinite came out. And so there will be an entire generation of gamers who they've not played the originals. That 2K canceled a remake that would have helped reintroduce it. Like, I just wonder if this IP still has the same. I'm not saying it doesn't have value, but I think the cachet of it being this like legendary thing that's this pillar of modern narrative video game storytelling, it won't be so modern anymore. And so that's kind of what I come back to. And it sounds like, Miranda, you might be on the same page with me there.
Yeah, I think there are just some other developers who've kind of eaten their lunch as far as of building on what BioShock is narratively, gameplay-wise. Like, there's just a lot there. And I think, although I love these games, like BioShock 1 is still one of my favorite games of all time. Agree on Minerva's done. Phenomenal. And there's a lot there to still value, but I think we look at things that are coming out in the future, like Clockwork Revolution. Like, that is so cool. And like some of the time frame and the vibe of it gives BioShock in a different way. And it's like we've seen other devs doing this vibe, and for them to kind of miss out on that, like, you can kind of feel it. I don't necessarily think that the IP is gone, because I think what BioShock created is really iconic visually with its big daddies, little sisters, everything. Obviously, Infinite's different, but there's still a lot there that I think is interesting that they could play with, but I think it would have a little bit less of like a hit impact as far as like a punch, like, oh shoot, it's finally happening. It's like, I think there will be people like me who are really excited, who have nostalgia for this, but I think, wow, are they going to harvest? No, okay, good. Okay, sorry. Sorry, we were watching a clip and I'm like, how dare you think about harvesting? No, but I think there's, excuse me, a lot there that they could still play with. It's just going to be a little bit less impactful I think Brian is, because you said it's like the timing, and this isn't like a Mario game or Zelda or something else or Halo even that like has that like continued story or continued character interest. Like you can keep reinventing this, and I think it kind of falls in the Zelda path of like, oh, this thing keeps happening where it's a man working with a girl of some sort or many girls and trying to figure out like why their future's so messed up and like the mess of a place. And that's like that kind of is like the cyclical thing for them. And I don't know. And that's kind of what I expected them to play with more. But if they can't nail that, then I think they have a big problem. But I guess going back to your point, Ryan, I think it still has like the visual appeal, but playing wise, like as we've all kind of discussed here, like there's others that have done it already and more. So,
I mean, and you mentioned it too, Miranda. You mentioned the movie piece of how the movie seems to be cursed, and it's like first it was going to be I forget it was like some big studio picture. I think is what was lined up. Was it Gore Verbinski? Is that who was going to be doing it?
Oh, I don't even remember at this point.
I don't even remember
it's
either.
Been through so many hands.
Last I think it's allegedly in development at Netflix, but there's been nothing to keep the IP alive, like anything. I guess technically the last BioShock release would have been the Xbox One era remaster, right, of the collection. Was all three of them, which I don't know. That's not new content. It's just a reissue of the old content. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm being too hard on it because like Fable it's been even longer for Fable, but I'm super fired up for Fable. Maybe it's because they've shown it.
Yeah.
They've shown it.
Yeah.
And B, Playground has while we haven't seen continuous running gameplay, there are strong indications that Playground has a fresh take on Fable, and that's what I'm kind of buying into so far. So
we know Playground
maybe that's what I'm missing with BioShock here, Michael.
Damn, y'all just roasted me. That's crazy. But I think Miranda, you were gonna say like Playground. We know what they're capable of, and so it gives us a little bit more faith about Fable. Whereas this is a brand new studio, and like they might. I mean, I'm sure they have like a lot of talent, but it's also hard for new studios to like get that first project off the ground and really get things going when you don't necessarily have that. Like something to go off of like previous projects. And like there's a bunch of people who've worked on a lot of other games too, but working as a team with new people is very different. But to defend myself a little bit, I do think that BioShock I don't think it has the cultural cachet or the name recognition as it used to anymore. And I think whatever they make kind of, maybe it doesn't even need the BioShock name. But I do think what I meant by that was that there are ideas that are embedded in the Shock games, Shock series, that can be built upon, that can be interesting, and there are other threads to pull on. I just don't think anyone really cares about the BioShock name anymore. But I think if you were to bring back the series, there's a lot of cool things that you could possibly do in universe in a way that is that can be for our modern world, because BioShock does pull on some like contemporary ideas about its politics or society in general. Like, even though those old other BioShock games, like you look back on them and like, wow, there's some really dated ideas that were even not great at the time. I still think that format and the things that they're trying to tackle, there's a version of a BioShock game that can exist in our world today that can be thought provoking, but I don't know.
I wonder which way they're going to go, because you both kind of hit on this, but 1 and Infinite they're not really tied together. I mean, not in the direct sense.
Yeah.
And so it's like, does a BioShock 4 just be its own complete independent thing? Or
At this point, yeah, I
That's
think
what I
so.
want.
or do they go like the prequel route to BioShock 1 and explore like Rapture?
Yeah.
You know, that's probably the low-hanging fruit, and maybe they want to aim higher than that. I don't know where they go with this. And maybe that's what
can't
they're
remember-
struggling with the story.
I can't remember exactly, but I think Burial at Sea was a little bit about that.
Burial at Sea kind
yeah.
of
covered that
already
ground.
walks
True.
that path a bit. So that's sort of the
Yeah.
problem I
And-
think maybe that they have is they're trying to figure out, can we still make this interesting if the city's already laid out? But also if they want to do another sort of dystopian society, it's like, all right, we've got it underwater. We've got it in the sky. Where do you go next? It's like, well, space. But Mr. Ken Levine's
System
already
Shock 3. Let's go.
but then also I think that's the problem too with Ken Levine's studio kind of doing a space thing, which also it's like,
That's
what the hell
true.
was
Judas, where are you? I want Judas.
I will say, Michael, you made me think of you gave me an optimistic thought when you were talking about kind of other games that have picked up, or you were talking about new studios coming together, like 343, their first project. I know, don't give me the comment section. I know Halo Anniversary was sort of technically, they didn't actually develop that though, Saber did, but Halo 4 came out pretty darn well. I know it gets hated on a lot. That's more on I think the campaign's great, multiplayer maybe not quite as much, but like Halo 4 turned out pretty well. And Miranda, Gears of War 4, the first one from the Coalition, turned out, I think you and I would agree, exceptionally well. So there is a little bit of, like, it can be done, I guess. I'm not saying there's any guarantee that Cloud Chamber's gonna pull a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 out of their hats on the first try. But there is precedent for a new team coming together on an existing franchise and doing something awesome with it. So that gives me some hope. I'm going to throw something out at you. You're probably both going to laugh, but just as a thought exercise, Judas from Ken Levine, which I played a year ago now, and it was
I'm jealous.
Still no ETA on that, but hopefully then, I guess it's not going to be this year. We would have heard about it by now. So hopefully sometime in 2026. If Cloud Chamber's BioShock project is still not coming together in a year from now, let's say Judas ships, because really remember, Judas is a Take-Two game. It's not a 2K game, but Take-Two, also from Take-Two, a little indie project called Grand Theft Auto 6. Let's say it ships before GTA 6. Is there a world in which Strauss Zelnick and the leadership of Take-Two goes to Ken Levine and says, hey, buddy, great job on getting Judas out the door finally. We're super proud of you. Do you think you could come in and do BioShock for us one more time to get it on track? Like, is there any scenario in which that could happen?
I don't know. Is anyone privy to the relationship with Ken Levine and like former, like with BioShock? I just haven't paid attention to like the break off, like the reason why Ken Levine went off and like started his own studio, and I'm sure there's stories about that, but I'm just not privy.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I do remember that he wanted to like refocus and go for a smaller team, kind of just like lock in. But I don't know if he's necessarily like at odds with BioShock. I don't think he wants to do more BioShock though, was pretty sure.
I mean, that's probably the first hurdle. But you know, who knows with the passage of time, right? Maybe all I'm saying is maybe, and I'm not even advocating for this. I'm just sort of throwing it out as a what if. Maybe he gets to the finish line on Judas and says, okay, I did this narrative Lego thing. It took way, way, way longer than I thought than I thought it was going to, but we did it. We got it out there. Oh, and like, maybe he gets a little protective of BioShock. And obviously he knows, not only does he know all this public stuff we know, he's probably privy to, he probably has little birds that whisper things to him about what's going on with BioShock, because it's under the same company. It's in the family. So, I'm just saying maybe he decides, all right, I'll go back and right the ship here. I agree with Miranda. I think Miranda, you're right. It's probably not going to happen. But I think we can't rule it out at this point.
Anything can happen.
Given the timelines of both Judas and BioShock 4, it's not off the table, is all I'm saying. All right. Yeah. The last note I had on this, and we'll move on, I promise.
Sure.
This occurred to me. Here's another crazy way to look at the time horizon on this fourth BioShock game. Judas has itself been in development for about 10 years, so they're coming up on Duke Nukem Forever territory here. And Judas, after 10 years, will still come out long before 2K can get another BioShock game out the door. So that just gives you an idea of how long. What ships first, BioShock 4 or Elder Scrolls 6? Place your bets. Oh, man.
I would say Elder Scrolls 6 has a better chance of coming out at all. Like, that game has to come out.
That's true.
BioShock 4, who knows if it'll even see the light of day.
I hope it does. I don't know. Yeah. I really love BioShock, and I kind of want to go play them again, though we're talking about it. I'm like, man.
I reviewed Infinite for IGN in my early days. I'd worked at IGN for less than a year, and I did the Infinite review, and wow. I love that game. I mean, I love the first one, and Infinite as well. 2 I like, but I don't have quite the same love for it. But
some problems. It's still BioShock, so it's fun, but it's just like, ooh.
Yeah. That was the one at the time didn't do.
Yeah.
I remember at the time too, people were the big switch of like, oh, I play as a big daddy now. Like, I think there was just so much backlash to the idea, like coming off of a banger like the original BioShock, and I think a lot of people were. It's almost like the MGS2 playing as Raiden kind of thing, but MGS2 ended up being like a fantastic game. And I do think BioShock 2 is a great game in many regards, but I think at the time the reaction from the fan base was not great, I suppose. But yeah, oh man, yeah, about BioShock, man. I will say one more thing.
I'm sorry we keep dragging this on.
No, go ahead.
When I finished BioShock Infinite, I was on a road trip the day after I finished it with my partner at the time, and she was asking me about the game, and I was trying to explain it to her. So if you ever seen the meme with that guy with a girl at a baseball game, and he's he's
yelling in her ear,
that was me trying to explain to her about lighthouses. That's how deep in this I was. And then afterwards, she's like, I don't really get it. And I was like, it is complicated. And then I went back and really thought about it. I'm like, man, none of this makes sense to me either.
There's always a lighthouse, Michael. That's all
I know. That's all I know.
All right, let's move along. Thanks for checking out this clip from Unlocked, IGN's weekly Xbox show. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to watch the full episode at youtube.com/IGN Games. New episodes of Unlocked drop every Thursday on IGN Games, IGN.com, and your favorite podcast platforms. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.